Tomorrow on NASCAR Race Day takes over Fontana. Jimmy Johnson, Greg Biffle join us for exclusive live interviews. Plus, we'll recap how the standings shuffled in Kansas. NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot, live from Fontana tomorrow, 12 Eastern, only on Speed. Here's Brandon McReynolds in the 92 race car earlier today. He's doing double duty. He was in the
number 28 car there in the UARA late model series. That's actually his second win this season in the series here at Rockingham. He outdueled Kyle Grissom, son of former Busch Series champion Steve Grissom, for the win.
And so right now the 92 of Brandon McReynolds is running in the 15th spot, so top 15 position he's trying to hold on to.
There's Darrell Basham, gets the lucky dog here. We'll get back on the lead lap, and the green is out.
Green flag flies once again. A great restart for Swindell, and it looks as though Steve Arpin's going to move by Justin Marks going into turn one.
Steve Arpin jumped to the inside. Great restart for Steve Arpin. Takes over that second spot. All three of our top point contenders right now running up in the top 8 positions.
Again, Steve Arpin way up the racetrack. Here comes Justin Marks in the 32 to the bottom of the racetrack again, trying to take second back. They're side by side in front of the grandstands.
Great battle for the second position. There is no preferred groove here. You can run the top of the racetrack, you can run the bottom, and you can run the middle here at Rockingham.
Right now, Kevin Swindell out in front. Justin Marks takes second back from Steve Arpin after the restart. There's Patrick Sheltra, your points leader. He's running in the 4th position. Just behind him, Ty Dillon in the 41, the 18-year-old who shows so much promise behind the wheel.
Great news. It looks like they will make a run for the championship here in the ARCA Racing Series in the 2011 season out of RCR for Ty Dillon.
Last week, we heard Richard Childress say it's going to get expensive. well, he's right. It is going to get expensive. Here comes Arpin once again to the outside. He takes the spot away from a ill-handling 32 of Justin Marks.
Steve Arpin's car's awfully good on the outside. He's used that in practice to get that car to work up there. Takes over that second spot now. Patrick Shelter moves to the rear bumper of the 32 of Justin Marks.
Phil, how much do you think the championship is on the minds of the 60, the 81, and the 77 right now as we're really in the middle of this race?
Well, I think right now Patrick Shelter is comfortable knowing that he has both his closest pursuers behind him. Tom Hessert, remember, he started back in the 14th spot. Well, he's already moved his way up into the top 10 in the 8th spot, just a couple spots behind the 81 of Craig Ghost. But he knows that he's going to have to make something happen. Patrick Shelter right now is trying to make something happen.
Trying to take third away from Justin Marks. Shelter drops back as they go through 3 and 4. Justin Marks way up the racetrack now. He saw how Steve Arpin had been doing it up top and decided to maybe take a look at that high line.
You just search for grip anywhere you can around this racetrack. That's what Steve Arpin's doing right now. He feels like he has a little bit more grip up on the top of the racetrack, so that's the line he's going to run.
Kevin Swindell now has a 2-second lead over Steve Arpin. And earlier, after the start of this race, the 16 of Joey Coulter got into the wall. Ray, how are they doing now?
Well, Ricky said he felt like a hockey player taking a check into the boards. It hit pretty hard. They pitted on lap number 12 to pull that fender out and make some damage repairs on the front of that thing. But an important note, they did fill it up with fuel, so that 16 car could be setting in pretty shape later on if this race goes in along green.
They felt like they had nothing to lose to go ahead and top that thing off with fuel, but that's normally not a good situation when you have old tires and full of fuel that puts too much weight behind the rear axle. Joey Coulter's not made a whole lot of ground up right now. He's being shown in the 20. Just took over. They were battling for the 27th position with a 10 car.
They stay side by side just behind Dustin Delaney in that 88 in front of them.
Dustin's another one of those drivers with a lot of K&N Pro Series experience. Ran a lot of the races in the East Series this year.
We're seeing a lot of drivers try to hug that white line, get way down low. And then others are, as you mentioned, searching for grip around this racetrack. There's Tom Hessert in the 77 right behind 9-time champion Frank Kimball.
Yeah, they both have been able to get underneath the 41 of Ty Dillon to take over that spot. That moves them up into the 5th and 6th position. There's Chad McCumbee, the 1 car, underneath the 41 of Ty Dillon. And there's Craig Ghost right now behind that side-by-side battle.
Chad McCumbee won twice in the ARCA Racing Series, most recently back in 2007 at Pocono.
Chad's had 4 consecutive top 10 finishes coming into this race here at Rockingham.
Hessert's all over the back bumper of the 44 of Frank Kimmel. Now, as we're closing in on the 25th lap of this race, a lot of guys have been talking about the number 60 as far as when they would want to change tires. Ray, what's going on with Tom Hessert?
Very happy with the car, Rick, from 14th up to 6th right now, and on the bumper of Frank Kimmel. I asked John Monson if he considered at all pitting under that last caution to get off cycle with the other front runners in the championship. He said absolutely not. We would not give up track position when our car is this good. How about the other 2 in the title race, Jim Trado?
Well, unfortunately for Craig Gose, he's got a very tight condition in turns 3 and 4. He dropped back to as far as 9th. As a matter of fact, Tom Hessert gave him pressure from behind just a few laps ago. And now it's the 81 of Craig Gose having a handling issue, but it's coming back to him as he's passed now Ty Dillon to gain back into the 8th position. Patrick Shelton, the point leader, by 30 unofficially right now, is in tire management mode. But under the caution, he talked about the car is a bit free up off. So imagine, Phil, if that continues to be worsening, he may lose some track time off of turn 4, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Jim. You can really spin the tires, believe it or not, in these cars, so he really has to manage that. He has to keep these tires on this car for at least 50, 60 laps. Again, with three sets of tires to run this race, ideally you want to put them on at 65 and at 130.
But sometimes the cautions just don't fall that way.
They just don't always fall when you want them to.
And so
I don't know why that
strategy will come into play. Right now it's Kevin Swindell with a 3.5-second lead over Steve Arpin. October 23rd, the world's toughest trucks march into Martinsville for some good old-fashioned short track racing. Tune in as metal collides and tempers explode. One of racing's most storied venues. Don't miss NASCAR Camping World Truck Series live from Martinsville, October 23rd at 12:30 Eastern, only on Speed. We got a great battle here in the ARCA Racing Series, not only for the championship, but for this race. Kevin Swindell has really set a blistering pace early on. He has almost a 5-second lead over Steve Arpin in the 55, who's running second.
You see his last lap time, 27:11. That's about 2 seconds off what they started this race. These tires have already fallen off 2 seconds, and we're only 33 laps into this race.
And again, only 3 sets of tires, the one that they have on the car, and then 2 in the pits. So they can't be too greedy with trying to get grip on this racetrack because they have a problem with the number of tires they have.
Yeah, and that's a departure from last year. Last year they actually had 3 sets of tires in the pits. Watch this just a couple moments ago. Side-by-side battle here. Patrick Shelton's going to make some contact with Steve Arpin in that battle for the second position. Patrick doesn't want to get that right front fender rubbing on that tire for sure.
He's got to be careful. Again, coming in, he has the championship lead right now, running in the second spot, so battling for the lead of this race. He's got to reel in, obviously, Kevin Swindell, who has almost a 5-second lead. Steve Arpin now has dropped back to the 3rd position.
This abrasive racetrack's going to tear those tires up. He don't need to do any on his own.
He doesn't want to have anything happen to the right front tire that would knock him back.
Take a look at that right front fender. It doesn't appear that he's got a great deal of damage, but it doesn't take a whole lot to get that tire rubbing, but I don't see any smoke either, so that may be okay for Patrick Shelton right now.
And Ray, what's happening with the 6 car?
Well, Rick, just wanted to give you a quick update. He is a little bit loose, especially on entry, but more so, a little bit of an issue could appear later for this team. During qualifying, they broke the gear off of the starter, so this team is hoping that this race runs green all the way to the end, and at no time the 6 car ever stalls or gets a spin out. If he does, they could be in big trouble.
Well, we appreciate you joining us here on Speed for championship weekend for the ARCA Racing Series. Alongside Phil Parsons, I'm Rick Allen down on pit road. Jim Trado and Ray Dunlap giving you all the action and stories taking place. And we have a lot of stories that are happening here today. A championship on the line. Patrick Shelton is leading the points, currently second on the racetrack. Kevin Swindell out in front.
How about that 44 car, 9-time champion Frank Kimmel? He wants to have a say-so in what's going to go on in this race. Frank right now is mathematically still involved, but realistically not really a threat for the championship, but he has a great race car. Has moved up into 4th position.
Already 4 cars are off the racetrack. So to be Jones, Smith, and Basham. Jason Basham in the 94 off of the racetrack. So that will mathematically take out one of our championship contenders. Mikey Kyle is no longer in a mathematic position to win this championship.
Still in a good battle for the top 5. He definitely want to be in the top 5 to end this season. Mikey certainly is in line for that.
Steve Arpin, we've seen quite a few cars wiggle coming out of turn number 4. Is that the situation where they're trying to put the throttle down and they just can't get that traction?
Well, these guys have 850 horsepower trying to get that down to the rear wheels, and this racetrack is so abrasive. These tires have gone off so much. It is so easy to get in that throttle and spin the tires. We see people spin the tires on restarts.
Right.
You can do this at 130 or 40 miles an hour. As they exit the corner, you can spin the tires.
A lot of power as we see Kimmel making his way around the bottom of the racetrack. Again, Kimmel holding on to the 4th spot, still winless in 2010 as well as 2009. They continue to look for that next win for the 44 team. They're at 74 wins. He's looking to get to 75. Swindell working on number 1. Maybe get to victory lane for the first time for that young man. Stay with us here on Speed.